Warning, this podcast contains heavy spoilers for not just one movie, but entire franchises. We highly recommend going and watching these movies before listening to us as a companion piece that stitches all the timelines into one creepy, crime-ridden story. There will be no more spoiler warnings. We do not break character. After this, there is no turning back. You've been warned. Hit the music.
You are talking about the nonsensical ravings of a lunatic mind.
It's alive! It's alive! It's alive! It's
alive! It's alive! It's alive!
Hello, welcome to It's Alive podcast. It's a true crime, paranormal, interstellar podcast covering unbelievable stories that sound like they're ripped straight from the pages of a Hollywood script. I am your host, the outlaw Dr. H.R. Smokenstein, THC, and with me as always is my very own Scream Queen, the perfect combination of beauty and brains, the brightest Smokenstein, the heart expert of guts and gore, the gorgeous, sexy Amy Rose.
Hi.
Do I need to change my name? I mean, I've been Dr. Smokenstein now since the start, but we've been off cigarettes for like 5 months. So do I need to change it to Dr. Vapenstein?
Might as well call yourself Dr. Douchebag.
Yeah. I do still smoke some stuff. So, I mean, there's that.
Yeah. Doctor
Just
some
not
stuff.
Tobacco. Doctor smoke some stuff, Finstein. Yeah,
Kinda.
Sure. We
Smoke
just stick
some
with
stuff. You should have
Smokenstein
just
right
left
now.
it at stuff. Smoke some stuff.
Okay, so what are we at?
Yeah. So last week we covered the bloodline of Christ, the Grail, Klaus Starr, Jessie Custer, and his voice of command. So where do you want to start this week?
Definitely the Saint of Killers. I've been reading about this guy all week, and it's a crazy story. I said it last week. I'll say it again. We need to have a movie about this guy. William Money. I mean, it's in his name. We'll make money. Cash fucking money right there.
Exactly.
Saint of Killers. Who'd you have play him? I reckon The Undertaker.
Oh, Graham McTavish.
Well, I reckon The Undertaker before he started being all of Mark Calloway and saying stupid shit like, let's go Donald Trump and shit like that.
Yeah. I reckon Graham would be spot on.
It was better when
Perfect.
Paul Bearer just talked for him.
You can unlock Paul Bearer in the new WWE game, The Ghost of Paul Bearer.
The Ghost of Paul Bearer?
Coming out. Yeah.
Serious?
Yeah, 100%.
I always thought that was cool considering his character in the WWE universe. When Undertaker came out to pay tribute to him and they had him standing there as a
The hologram.
hologram.
Yeah.
And I was like, that works for him, doesn't it?
It does,
Yeah,
but is
it's
it
a
going to
nice
work
touch.
for everyone else?
And then he got to be in one more storyline because his ashes were in Taker's urn.
Yeah.
And then he stole the ashes from Taker. Or he stole the urn from Taker and he was throwing the ashes around and shit. It was cool.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure with Paul Bearer's ashes they were saying was in. I mean, the urn was always there, so I don't know.
No, I think I remember that. As in,
I do
think
remember
you
him fucking ashes around the place, so I would assume.
It would have to be Paul Bearers.
Or else the ashes hit him in a fight. I can't remember. It was a long time. This was before
Never his
CM Punk
parents'
went into
ashes.
exile. Huh?
Never his parents' ashes.
It would make sense. They were burnt to death by
That's what I'm
Cain.
saying. See?
That shit happens. So, all right, so let's get on with the Saint of Killers.
Yeah.
I've been dying for this story all week long.
So, little is known of the man who would one day become the Saint of Killers. There is an old text and a legend chronicling his supposed backstory, though, and we're going to work from that today.
Clint Eastwood. Younger. We need a time machine.
Yeah, kind of good, the bad, the ugly, kind of.
I'll get on to Sebastian and get our time machine.
Sebastian.
I'll tell you in a few weeks.
Okay, cool. Can't wait. He fought in the Civil War on the side of the Confederacy and was known as one of the most violent, bloodthirsty soldiers on the battlefield. He carved his way through the bodies of Union troops and none could stand against him. His reputation grew, and even after the war, he was held in fear and contempt, not only by the people he had fought against and alongside, but by the people who'd heard only of his legend.
It's a pure Texan thing as well, isn't it? Cowboy thing. They all have legends attached to them. The legend of the Saint of Killers, William Money. Pretty fucking cool.
When the war ended, he went west, back to Texas. He stayed apart from other people and made his money getting the bounties on Indian scalps.
Are we allowed to say Indian though?
Nope.
Native American scalps.
Native American scalps.
Yeah, well, I mean, the source material for this is from the 90s. So what are you going to do?
He saw his share of man's inhumanity to man in his life and had resigned himself to the fact that mankind was a corrupt, savage race. He He didn't think there was any hope either for America or for himself until he met her.
Yeah, I mean, that's in the Old West, right?
Mm.
Fuck me, they're still the same now.
How do you mean?
Well, if you talk about America current day, corrupt, savage race, no hope for America.
Inhumanity to their fellow man.
It sounds pretty accurate for what's going on at the moment. Not all of you. At least fucking nearly half of you are decent people. The other half.
Yeah.
All right. So during the raid of some Apaches, he heard a sound. A young girl who had been their captive. I wouldn't fancy that back then.
No.
Because you can understand why the Native Americans might be pissed off.
100% to understand why the natives. The same reason that we were pissed off, Josh.
Yeah, same reason certain people are pissed off right now.
Yeah.
Certain other people walking in going, "This is my house. Out!" You're like, "No, I lived here first." And then they start shooting you and killing you and starving you and so forth, so on and so forth. I'd be pissed off.
Yeah.
In fact, the entire global political fucking power structure should be pissed off about all that kind of stuff, shouldn't they? Really shouldn't be happening. Thank God it doesn't happen in this day and age.
Good job. You tell him.
He very nearly shot the girl, but stayed his hand because he shoots everything. The girl was injured, but whole, and thanked him for saving her from the horrible and savage acts the natives would have committed. He maintained that his intention hadn't been to save her, but that she had just happened to be there. So, right place, right time for this girl.
I was about to say wrong place, wrong time.
Not really.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, you corrected me.
He saved her, and she found a husband.
Aww.
He offered to give her a ride back to her home in Laredo, Texas. When he got her back to her family, her brother was absolutely shocked that she had not only been saved by one of the most dangerous soldiers of the war, but that she wanted to go back with him. See, the incels are going mad about this because I've seen descriptions of this guy. Big, tall dude.
Oh, nice.
Lots of hair.
Nice.
Big wrists.
Oh, well. They're all a bit petty over their wrists, certainly.
She saw beneath his cold, cynical skin a good man, or at least the potential for one. And again, the incels would be screaming, "But I'm a good man over here." No, you're not.
With my tiny wrists.
You're not. Your midget wrists. She wanted to make it her mission to find goodness in him. Women love doing that to bad boys, though, don't they?
Fix them.
Yeah, fixer-uppers.
Exactly. Does it actually work, though?
I don't know. You've been doing a pretty good job with me.
Aw, thank you.
Don't have a motorbike anymore.
That wasn't my fault.
No.
I never told you to get rid of your motorbike, did I?
No, I just
Not
kept crashing
once.
them.
Didn't crash that one.
I didn't, but I didn't drive that one enough not to crash it. It's pretty much broke up by the time I bought that one.
Oh, well, yeah.
She wanted to, so we got that far. She's going to do what she can to make him a good man. To take a man who had given up all hope of humanity and show him that there was good in life after all. They were together for about a decade and had a child, a baby daughter. And a baby girl is going to mellow a man.
Soften you.
Do you know?
Yeah.
I got 2 boys, so it did no good. You know, because they're wild, we're wild, it's fine. But a little girl will mellow you out a little bit, like, you know.
Oh, yeah.
And I was walking over here with my niece one day, and she's holding my hand the whole way over talking. And you just have to be softer to them, and not in that sexist kind of way, but it's just they bring that out of me.
Yeah,
you know, just that soft side of them. They lived together in the wild, living off the land, happy. That's how I'd be too, happy. That sounds awesome. For the first time, he felt satisfaction and knew that there was actually more to his life than killing. He had a family and a future, but then they got sick. Which kind of happens in this time, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You have to be lucky not to get sick.
Commonly, you're lucky enough to actually survive that baby coming out, to be honest.
Yeah.
And one of the myriad of fevers and illnesses that traveled the West got into his wife and daughter. They were bedridden with the fever, and the only medicine was a week away by horse. It pained him to leave them behind, but his wife told him to go and to hurry. But, and this was important, if he didn't make it, if anything should happen before he got back, not to blame himself. It would be the fever's fault and not his. He pledged to get the medicines and get back in time. Unfortunately, God had other plans.
Now, the upside here is he's not going to blame himself. He's probably going to blame everybody fucking else. But we'll see. We'll get there.
Yep. A blizzard blew across the plains while the hopeful husband was on his way to the town of Ratwater, Texas. It didn't stop him, but it did divert a gang of truly wicked men. Gumbo McCready was a thug, a man who led other men simply by being crueler and more murderous than anyone else.
Is McCready an Irish name?
Yes. Could be Scottish. I'm pretty sure it's Irish. He and his men came into Ratwater full of anger and boredom, a bad combination.
Boredom in general, it seems to like lead people to do stupid fucking shit. I've done a lot of dumb stuff just out of boredom.
Like?
I can't think of any right now, but I mean, sure I've done some stupid. I mean, you saw us when we had that clubhouse in that warehouse all the way back in the day, and they were talking about motorbikes again.
Yeah.
Come on, you were in the clubhouse. You saw what kind of stupid shit we did when we were bored. You saw what we did in the original clubhouse when we were bored.
I was there for all the clubhouses. I've seen all the shit you did when you were bored. So they met the old soldier who shot one of McCready's men who they'd shamed into challenging him. McCready asked him to join their gang, but he wouldn't have it. If killing set apart a hard man, he said, every son of a bitch in Texas would be one. With that, he turned on his heel and left them with the insult in their ears. The gang left early and set an ambush. When the soldiers came through on his way to his family, they shot at him, intending to kill him dead. But they didn't. He even managed to cut their numbers down sharply. But they did enough damage. They killed his horse, making what should have been a 1-week journey into 2. He cut what horse meat he could and started across the snowy land towards his family.
Have you ever had horse meat?
No, I don't think I'd eat horse meat either. Would you?
I did. Well, where is it big? In France?
France, I think.
I think if I'm in someone's country where it's the culture, I'd be willing to try it. Because me not eating it isn't going to make the horse alive again.
Yeah.
But it's sort of like my thing with lamb. I don't like the idea of them killing lambs. So I won't go out and buy lamb. But if I go somewhere and I'm offered lamb, I'm not going to turn around. It's like, all right, I'll take it now because I didn't pay for it. And it's not going to make it alive again.
We don't buy lamb, but I do like the taste of lamb.
I do. As far as the only time I'll get lamb is if I get a kebab and a takeaway. That's lamb, isn't it?
That's lamb. Yeah, a lamb shank. Yeah, it's lamb.
It is, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah, I think it is, yeah.
Lamb shank, yeah.
I don't know what's in the kebab and I'll eat it anyway.
Oh, you don't want to see how they're made.
Oh, all I know is those big, huge slabs of meat they put on the fucking the kind of carousel thing that goes, with the big heater on the back to keep it warm.
Yeah.
I literally, do you know the scene from The Simpsons where Bart takes the bite out of the side of the huge Rice Krispie square?
Yeah.
I wanted to do that to one of them for so long, but then every now and again I get a thick chunk of meat in my kebab and I try and eat it and it's not that nice. It's better when it's thin.
Yeah, it would be.
So I don't think I want to bite into the side of one of them anymore. Plus I'm pretty sure it will burn my tongue. And when you burn your tongue, everything tastes like shit for like a day.
I used to do that so much with tea when I was younger.
I haven't done it in ages with tea, but I used to do
no,
it
I think
a lot
as you
with
get
tea.
older, you get better with tea. Because I used to do it a lot as well.
Been working my tongue out.
Huh.
Strong.
Oh. So poor old William Money, he didn't make it home. By the time he got there, the crows had already started picking at the flesh of his wife and daughter, and he knew exactly who was to blame for delaying him.
Yup. It wasn't himself.
Nope. He buried his family and then he took his guns and his sword and headed back towards Ratwater. His only emotion was hate and his only thought was revenge.
Were swords a common thing back then?
I suppose like rapiers or
I'm always
sabers
reading about
kind of
him
thing.
having a sword, all right, but I just didn't. I never pictured a cowboy carrying a sword.
Well, when...
Maybe a machete or something.
What year was the Civil War? I suppose... Do you know what I mean? Like it could have... It's not out of the realms of possibility that it wasn't like a family heirloom or something handed down to him for that time.
It was 1861 to 1865.
Oh, yeah. Like go back 20, 30 years, you still have like swords and stuff like that. That's what I'm thinking.
Anywho, in the time it took him to get to Ratwater, McCready had pretty much taken the place over. They had shot the sheriff. I shot the sheriff, but he didn't shoot the deputy.
Good. Thank God.
Because there was no deputy. They shot the sheriff and spread fear throughout the town. When the soldier came in, his guns blazing, McCready sent all of his men out to stand between him and his certain death. All of his men died either by the bullet or by the blade. When he came for McCready, the gang leader did what people like him always do. He grabbed an innocent and used her as a human shield. That would work with most people, but he counted on the gunman being a basically good man, which he wasn't.
Wrong.
A bullet went straight through her head, missing McCready, and at that moment, his gun jammed. McCready took the opportunity to knock the gunman down and jammed the blade of a shovel through his chest. That sounds terrible. The old soldier died and his soul went to the only place it could go, straight to hell. Oh, I keep saying the music is better there. Apparently there is, because I was reading this in that book, and when they're deciding whether you go to hell for killing, the devil does take time to differentiate between murder and killing on in war, which I didn't think. How do you justify that? It's weird. I still think it's strange at this time in society that you would go out and go to war like that. I understand there's patriotism and you want to stand up for your country and mind your country, but at the same time, nowadays when you look at it, it's all so fucking politically based on, like money and land and so. No country should be fighting for land anymore. That just shouldn't happen anymore.
Yeah, definitely.
But even see, it's stupid. It's a stupid thing for me to go into, because realistically, if you asked me if I would have taken part in the war for independence, I would have, because I'm Irish and I love Ireland and all that stuff. But then I look at wars today and it's like, I couldn't imagine killing other people because a politician told me to. You know?
Okay.
Maybe it's just because we put less stock in politics, or we don't like politicians nowadays. I don't know what way they were treated back then, but I suppose it, at the same time, it's because I don't see any of those politicians going to the front line either, or putting themselves.
Well, you see, that's the thing. That's
know?
where my interest in history stops, is when the kings stop fucking
leading their armies into fucking battle.
Yeah, and kind of
Can
like,
you really picture Higgins or Micheál Martin at the front? Maybe Higgins.
Are you serious? He'd be
Sitting
there
on a
with his
giant
best
horse in a small
Irish.
thing.
Yeah. Think William Wallace, but Irish. Oh, he'd be class. He'd be the
Dogs in
cutest.
him, boy.
Yeah. I can't imagine King Charles, though, going out to war.
Well, he can't fit his sausage fingers into the
Oh,
gloves.
shit. He'd have to get them specially made.
Problem. Have to talk to OJ's lawyers.
The glove doesn't fit.
You can't go to war. Well, he's screwed because Johnny Cochran's dead too. So
Is he?
yeah. Johnny
Oh, I
Cochran's
didn't know
dead,
that.
yeah.
Oh, they're both dead, so
Well,
is Kardashian.
I mean, there's still a few of them around, isn't there? Oh yeah. Well, obviously Kardashian is dead. The guy that Travolta played, he's still alive.
Oh,
first
yeah,
lawyer, the
that's
main
going to
lawyer.
annoy me. I can't think of his name. It was Shapiro.
Yeah, that's it. Yep. That's it.
Knew
Yeah,
that.
Shapiro. Yeah, Travolta was in. Travolta did a good job.
He
there. I
did
like
do
that.
a
I'd
good
watch
job.
that again.
I love John Travolta, if I'm being very honest.
I hate Cuba Gooding Jr., but I liked him in that.
Oh, I liked him in that as well. Yeah.
Funny enough, we might get to see a new version of that soon. Wasn't he named with Diddy as well at one stage?
Go away. I didn't know that.
He was named in one lawsuit, but I think it got settled.
Okay.
So I don't know if he'll come up in the trial of the century.
Well,
Dun, dun,
I think that's
dun.
proved just because something got settled doesn't mean it's not going to get talked about again.
Well, hey, yeah, Cassie sitting there with her $20 million going, yep.
Yep.
And then her best friend was up and she got 30 grand off him at one point because he hit her with a clothes hanger. Telling you, Diddy can hit me with a clothes hanger for 30 grand, no problem.
Depends where, as long as he just stays away from the face. I'm
Head.
joking. Yeah.
Behind the ear, she had a concussion afterwards.
Oh, well, come here. That's different. That's
Yeah.
different.
And then she stopped being Cassie's friend because Cassie didn't back her up on it.
Because Cassie was probably scared she was going to get the shit kicked out of her if she did.
Probably.
You got to look at all angles here. Like, it's not just somebody being a bad friend. It's someone trying to protect themselves
she
as well.
told her friend that she was playing it up. You're only playing it up and you're just looking for money and shit. So.
Oh,
Yeah,
Probably
but
'cause
she was young too. You can't really blame her.
19
for
or
it.
20,
It's
yeah, you
fucking
can't.
Stupid. Anyways,
Normally, when a soul gets to hell, the horror of their condition blasts away everything human from them. All love, fear, and hate evaporated in the heat of the inferno. Nothing human survived the approach to the gates until he got there.
awesome.
His hate remained intact. His desire for revenge and death was undiminished, and his cold heart was enough to freeze the very fires of hell itself. The gates were sealed shut, the fires went out, and the devil himself came out of his palace to find out what the hell was going on.
Did they do a paternity test
And who?
on William Money and the Devil? I'm just saying, I saw this exact same thing happening in Adam Sandler's Little Nicky, and it was because Little Nicky went through but because the two older sons went through the gate of hell the wrong way, they froze it up.
Oh.
So, just saying, the one time I've seen this happen.
Could be. Which came first, Little Nicky or Saint of Killers?
Little Nicky's like 99, 2000 as far.
Exactly.
No, yeah, early 2000s.
Yeah.
So they got a good 200 years on them.
Nice. The devil and the angel of death found the source of their problem, the cold soul of the dead gunman. The devil tried to beat the hate out of him and he was whipped to the bone, but he didn't give it up. His hate remained cold and untouchable and absolute.
How did the devil think that was going to work? How do you beat the hate out of someone? If you beat me, I'm going to hate harder.
Yeah.
Do you know? I'll be sore, but I'll still fucking hate you for it. It'll just make me angrier and angrier and angrier.
And sad, but I'd still be angry. I'd be sad that I was sore. Mm-hmm. And I would presume it hurts more in hell.
Well, you always know what to do in those scenarios anyway.
Mm.
He whips you once and you go, oh, more, baby. It'll stop him pretty quick.
The devil begged him to give it up and asked what it was he wanted and why he hated so hard. The man said that the only good thing he had in a bad life had been taken from him, and all that remained was the desire for revenge, the desire to kill. Yes. A deal was struck, and the angel of death, who was none too happy with his job, offered his position. The dead man would take his place, bringing death at God's will. He would carry 2 guns made from the angel's sword. They would never miss fire and never run out. Every shot would hit and every hit would kill. He could have his revenge and much, much more.
Yeah, much, much more. He could enter a video game competition and win, no fucking problem. Call of Duty, was just going around there,
Nice.
one shot.
Do you think it snaps as well when he targets?
Well, the icon just goes over him instantly when he pulls out the target. That would be amazing.
Would. The man agreed, and the devil sewed up his wounds inexpertly, and the guns were cast. The dead gunman was given new clothes and a new title, the Saint of Killers, and his first victim was none other than the devil himself.
Holy shit. So the devil's dead?
I think so. Doesn't feel like it.
Huh?
Doesn't feel like it, but...
So this is interesting because I was reading a breakdown of this, right? And in the book I was reading, it's called Preacher by Garth Ennis.
Yeah.
And it covers all this kind of stuff. And they were talking about the idea of why would the angel of death be so willing to give up on this. And then they went into like the history of angels and the fact that angels were around long before humanity was around, long before the world was around. They were, God's first kind of entertainment, interest, something for him to do. And then he eventually decided, because apparently according to them, the angels kind of were like forced to love him. They even talk about like, the war between the angels and the devil, or the angels and Lucifer and his group of angels. Apparently the reason that was orchestrated the way it was, and I can prove it in the next episode, because I'm going to read an excerpt of a letter that Jessie Custer himself wrote to Tulip O'Hare. But he set the Lucifer up to see how many of it, because he felt like he was being loved, but that they had no other option but to love him. So by putting in a conflict and starting a war between the angels, he could see which angels would choose to love him and which would choose to side with Lucifer. And it was like double the gratification, because it wasn't a case of you're forced to love me. It's a case that you chose to love me. That led him to think, well, wouldn't that be great if I did that on a planetary scale? So he dropped us down here to kind of force us to choose with free will, but without like being forced to love him. We have a choice to love him or not to love him. So he gets extra gratification out of the people who choose to love him. So in this scenario, the angel had been an angel for a long time. And then we showed up and God needed an angel of death. And I can imagine that's a depressing fucking job.
Oh, I'd say so.
Can you imagine if all day long, all you did was go from one dead person to the other, collecting their soul to bring up to heaven or bring down to hell? Yeah. Wouldn't be nice, especially the ones that have to go to hell.
No.
Because you got to break the bad news too. So you're like one of those doctors. It's like, I'm sorry. They couldn't save you. Now come with me. We're going upstairs or downstairs? I'm sorry. It's downstairs. Sorry.
Yeah, I wouldn't fancy that.
Purgatory is just a waiting room. You chilling for the whole fucking time. But obviously this guy likes killing, so he was happy to take on the role.
He was. And the saint returned to Ratwater and he killed Macready and the corrupt preacher who travelled with them. But he didn't stop there. He killed everyone. Every man, woman and child in the town of Ratwater, Texas, died under his guns that night. Innocent or guilty made no difference. He was the bringer of death and he didn't much care whose.
That's a bit of overkill, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it wasn't all their fault, especially the kids.
No, yeah, the kids was a bit much, to be honest.
Chill out, man.
When his job was done, he went to wait under Boot Hill. He would be called out many times to do God's will and to bring about the death and destruction that God wanted. The final time, however, was for something very special. The Saint of Killers was woken to find and kill a young man named Jessie Custer.
Oh, sorry, I was just looking up. We could go to Boot Hill.
Can we?
Boot Hill or Boot Hill is a generic name of many cemeteries, chiefly in the western United States. So we'd have to go to a few.
Mm-hmm.
It's a common name for burial grounds for paupers. Shit, this could be hard to find. There's one. Oh, come on, it has to be this one. Tombstone, Arizona.
That's it.
That's where
There
we're
you
checking.
go.
Oh, but there's one in Kansas. Yeah, fuck. That makes it hard.
Very funny.
We'll track you down, William. Anyways, where was I? Before we get to Jessie, you want to hear some... hang on, where are we? Yeah, we're at Jessie, aren't we? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So before we get to Jessie, though, do you want to hear about some of the people the Grail believed were killed by the Saint?
Go for it.
No, they kind of also have... I believe when they say the Saint, it was them.
Okay.
Not the Saint. Because they use the Saint for a lot of their... cover-ups and a lot of their explanation, because you have to understand in these cult-like scenarios, the top guys are going to know what's going on.
Yeah.
And everyone at the bottom is only getting the rhetoric that's being fed to them from the top.
Okay.
So when people start dying or people go missing or important people die, it can't be Hair Star that's out doing it.
Okay.
Hair Star
Yeah.
for Mr. I like that as well. I had to get the German for it. Hair Star. So Klaus Starr is not the one out there doing it. That's not what they're going to
Hair is Mr. Yeah.
So they're not going to be like, we're sending Starr out to kill him. It's like the Saint the Killers took him away on God's behalf. Do you know?
Oh, that makes it sound kind of nice.
Sure. So anyway, they claim that the Saint killed, which makes me believe they killed Lincoln, JFK, Gandhi, who I didn't even know was assassinated. Yeah. Caesar. The dog is looking at me. Martin Luther King and Malcolm X. Basically anyone God or the Grail deemed as a false prophet.
Oh, I thought Caesar was alive before Jesus.
Well, God was around long before Jesus. It's a stupid way. Again, it's just shit coming from the Grail. Like,
Okay.
You just gotta buy what. Just take it with a pinch of salt. That's all.
Okay, sorry. It could be a different Caesar. There was many Caesars.
Fuck the final, man. As long as it ain't my dog, I don't care.
Exactly. So this was a position Jessie Custer definitely fit. Now, we spoke last week about the Grail and their goals, but we didn't really touch on the power they held or the influence the head organisation All-Father Daranique wielded on the leaders of world governments. Practically nothing is known about Daranique's private life or early years. All that's known of the man is that what can be found in the old Grail files, of which there aren't many. At least none that are taken seriously, and with most scholars and political influencers refuting the existence of the organisation, referring to only as a conspiracy theory for basement dwellers in tinfoil hats.
So
Us.
we don't have a basement though. Loads of tinfoil hats though. I love my tinfoil hats.
Yeah, you look crazy when you're wearing them.
I can't get into my brain if I'm wearing my tinfoil hat.
Because you're bald. They can't get into mine because I've got hair.
Bastard.
That being said, according to said conspiracy, no nation moved without the knowledge and consent of the Grail. At the end of every day, the leaders of every nation on earth called a private number. When All-Father Daranique answered, they simply said, "Thank you."
Just that, like, thank you for letting us exist.
It seems
This
like
guy must have been fucking seriously powerful.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Daranique's power was only eclipsed by his girth. And he was a truly
dong.
massive man. No.
Huge.
No.
The only time I hear the word girth is when it's for
Girth.
Down
Nice
there.
girthy. Yeah, I suppose.
a nice girthy sausage.
Like King Charles's fingers.
They're girthy, all
They're
right.
girthy sausages. In fact, Darnique was so big that the Grail spent about $60 million a year in airplane repairs alone.
Holy fuck.
Large aircraft couldn't land at the Grail's base of Masada, and the All-Father got sick in helicopters.
Why doesn't he take a little trip to Saudi Arabia? They'll give him a nice luxury one.
Yeah, exactly. He
All
probably
you
won't
gotta
fit in
do
that
is,
either.
suck some Saudi dick and you get yourself a big old plane. That's what Trump did.
Such an idiot. You're in Blair and YMCA like in a homophobic country. So a small aircraft had to ferry the All-Father about and would inevitably sustain damage landing under his weight.
So you were right. We were talking about this on It's a Live Action.
Mm-hmm.
And you said helicopter doesn't sound right, but I was convinced it was a helicopter.
No,
It's a
it
small
had to
aircraft.
be in a small aircraft. I'd say the helicopter was making him sick because it'd probably rock with all that weight.
Yeah. Do you know what's funny though? For as big as he was, he was bulimic.
Actually bulimic.
Yeah, but they reckon it wasn't so much to lose weight as opposed to empty something out so he can put more in. Make space.
Like the Romans.
Just didn't stop eating, basically.
Yuck.
I don't know how you get. I don't want to, because I don't want to be that person. I understand some people are built heavier and they look, and it looks natural on them. You know, you can tell when someone is, like I say, big bones. But and that looks good on them. And sometimes I feel those people, if they lose weight, it doesn't look as good. It's like obvious that they're natural size.
Some people are
and
supposed to have,
and
yeah.
they look good that way. But then there's people who just eat until there's rolls and rolls and rolls. That's mental.
That's gluttony.
I mean, as soon as I feel my t-shirt getting tight in me, I'm like, whoa, time to start exercising.
If I get
again.
any bit bloated at all, it's like I can't breathe properly. I'm like, I don't know how people do this every day.
But I couldn't.
No.
I couldn't get to that side where you're struggling to walk around. No, I know some people then as well, it'll be like, you know, they'll have
physical
mental health
disabilities
problems or physical
yeah.
disabilities and stuff like that. But I think there may be more blame to put on doctors for not prescribing stuff like that. And I don't mean prescribing medication, but if I know you have a physical, if I'm a doctor and I know you have a problem with your knee and you have it and your weight is starting to fucking go up a little bit, I would like, there should be people like personal trainers, health personal trainers that you can be sent to. The same way you can be sent to a physiotherapist or one of them. There should be like a personal trainer for people with injuries.
Oh yeah.
That can help you, like, paid for by the fucking HSE, like, that can help you find the right routine that'll work for you to keep your weight down so that you don't have it would save the HSE money in the long run.
But I think you need to lose some of that
hip
weight
problems,
in
bone
order to
problems.
be able to take part in a personal training session, even if it's a very light personal training session.
I
mean,
know
a
that,
lot
but
of
the only way to do it is to start moving,
I
you
know,
know?
yeah, but
And it's small movements to begin with. I mean, Diamond Dallas Page does DDP yoga with people who are constantly injured, and I've seen some people who have massive weight loss through his program.
Yeah.
And he starts, it's all, me do yoga. It's nice and gentle.
I did
It
DDP
barely-
yoga before.
And it barely feels like a workout, like, you know, but it's just slowly.
But his thing is
surely
you're
you get
working
there.
against your weight, so it obviously works for people then that are a bit heavier because they have that bit of extra weight on them.
So what did this guy look like?
So looking at him, with his nearly spherical body and vomit on his chin, one might get the impression that he's stupid. But most of the people who had that impression are now dead. His corpulence hides a mind as sharp as a diamond and a soul as cold as ice.
Do you know how he used to like to kill people?
How? Sitting him.
Yup.
No. Yuck.
Right in the face.
Yuck.
It's the way I want to go, but not with a big fat man on top of me.
Hey.
Anyway, what we do know about him is that he was French, related to, so he had horses, related to Jessie Custer. His grandmother was the aunt of Darnique, making him Custer's cousin.
Yes. You say
Second cousin?
aunt. Very American.
What?
Aunt.
Aunt. Yeah. It's just the way it's spelled in front of me. Like,
Ah.
A-U-N-T. I see the U, I have to pronounce it.
Aunt.
If I'm probably saying it naturally, it probably wouldn't be aunt, it would just be auntie. You know?
That's my auntie. Yeah.
It's the Y that makes the difference. If I'm saying auntie, it's auntie, but I don't really say aunt.
What if there is a Y? You'd be saying ain't.
Ain't. My auntie. Oh, I almost sound her. Anyway, Marie Langell, looks like Angel. Langell had left France for America with the goal to serve the Grail and to discover everlasting life through soul consumption, as we spoke kind of briefly about last week. So as if he needed another reason to kill the false prophet, he also had a grudge over the death of his loyal aunt.
Oh, that sounds so much better. It's like the way you take the piss out of me for saying bet and beat.
Well, no, as you pointed out, aunt could be an American way of saying aunt.
Could be.
Whereas nobody in the world says bet for beat.
We do in Tipperary. Thank you very much.
Fucking cultures.
Fucking Kerry, man. Keep going now.
And what was it you say for squeeze again? Yeah.
Squez.
That's not a word, man. It's not a fucking word. It doesn't exist.
I bet him and then I squeezed him.
I squeezed the life out of him. You fucking Tipperary. I swear to God.
I don't think squeeze.
Thank fuck it's a long way to Tipperary.
Keep going now. You have a long way to fucking go.
I was going to say something here. Do we talk more about the soul consumption? I just want to make sure about that because that's a big thing that I do want to talk about. And I just want to make sure I got it in here because or did I squeeze it in next week?
You squeeze it in next week.
I squeezed it in next week. I'll beat it in there between, bet it in there between.
Is that where it comes from? Do you not have Kerry people that say I bait him instead of I beat him?
I've heard, yeah.
So how come you don't get out like that?
Because I don't talk like that. I find them to be kind of fucking.
Oh yeah, we get that
as well.
Me father bait me.
Okay, we're talking about it next week. So we're going to leave her soul consumption till next week.
Okay.
Because we need to focus more on the whole fall of Masada here.
Yes.
So, as we were saying, Darren has got a sharp mind. He's one of these people, you can't tell it by looking at him, but those cogs are constantly turning up there and he knows what's going on. And while Starr thought that he had one up in Darren Darren knew better. Because from what I can tell from the research, they called Starr in to San Francisco to try. I think they were going to involve him in this Jessie Custer thing to begin with.
Okay.
They wanted to have a look at him, and there was rumors that they might be looking to knock him off, and that's why Starr was being brought in. But one of the guys that bought Starr over was a higher up from the Grail. But wasn't in Starr's little conspiracy inner circle.
Okay.
So Starr, once he saw the Messiah, had made the decision that there is absolutely no fucking way that this monstrosity was being wheeled out to the public as the new Jesus.
Yeah.
It was like, it's not going to work. People won't take it seriously. The plan won't work. It'll fall apart and the apocalypse will be for nothing. But Jessie Custer, a confident, good-looking preacher who had the fucking power to make people, compel people to do as he wished, will be perfect.
Yes.
So he wanted to get him on side. So instead of going to whack Jessie Custer like Darren was planning, he started watching him, looking for a way to try and capture him and to find weaknesses that he could use to then force Custer into doing what he wanted.
Okay.
You know? Yeah. You see, when it comes to Masada, it was really rare for the All-Father to actually be in Masada.
Okay.
They had another location. I can't remember. Les Saint something or other. They had another location in France where they hung out, where most of the Grail hung out. Like a Grail industry headquarters.
I'm trying to think, yeah.
And that's where they kept the Messiah most of the fucking times because the Messiah was learning from the All-Father. Not that you could teach him a whole pile, you know?
Yeah.
So when Starr saw Darren arrive at Masada, he knew. Because he knew how smart Darren was. He knew this guy's not here for nothing. He suspects me of something. So I might need to start ramping up my plans a little bit. Now, at this point, and I think we mentioned this last week, didn't we? We mentioned it when we talked about Jesus the Sad. When the Grail broke into Jesus the Sad's house, they were looking, as we said, for Jessie, Cassidy, and Tulip.
Yeah.
But Jessie in particular. Tulip was also on the list. They actually didn't have Cassidy on their radar at all. It was Tulip and Jessie they wanted, mainly because they wanted Jessie and they know he loves Tulip. So how do you get a man to do something you want him to do that he doesn't want to do? You threaten to kill his girlfriend or his partner.
I thought you were going to say bribe him.
So he would, it was going to be a case of, well, we could be torturing her over here until you're ready to do as we ask.
Yeah.
And if you say no full out, Bye-bye, Julep. So, at this point, they actually hadn't gotten a visual of Jesse yet. They just knew he was in the area. So when Pontius Cassidy was arrested by the Grail, he abandoned his Irish accent and took on a Texan accent and claimed to be Jessie Custer. And he was arrested and taken away by the Grail. Kidnapped by the Grail. Why am I saying arrested? There's nothing official about this. Kidnapped by the Grail. With the and they did at this point they were like, well, fuck Tulip, we have him. He'll do as we ask. But they did tell him that they were going to go after Tulip if he didn't help.
Okay.
So Cassidy ended up in Masada, going from San Francisco. He was transferred to France because I know Masada was actually originally in Israel, right? But they were like, I can't deal with this shit over here in Israel, so we're going to move this. And they went to France.
Because they're all fucking nuts.
Yeah, they knew in the 90s. Fuck this shit. They went to France and they set up a hidden base there in France. So Cassidy, we didn't actually really talk about Cassidy, did we, last week? Not a whole pile.
No.
So there isn't a lot known about Cassidy. He claims to be 100 years old.
Is he 100 years old?
I think he's just a big old bullshitter.
Does he look 100 years old?
He's one of us. He's Irish. But he likes to drink and party a little bit too much. So I think he might be one of these guys who likes to talk too much and tell stories. When
he's away with the fairies. Like,
yeah, because he claimed he was at the 1916 Rising.
Oh, definitely. Where
Yet this was all going down in like 1996.
So 80 years after.
Yeah. And he looked to be about our age. Maybe even a little younger.
It's just good genetics.
Oh God. So yeah, that's pretty much Cassidy's backstory. But they basically, once Starr realized that Cassidy, because he couldn't keep up the shitty Texan accent that he was trying to do, once they realized that he wasn't Jesse and he couldn't do the word thing that they were trying to do, the word of God thing that they wanted him to do, they decided that he was close enough to Custer to lure Custer to Masada.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So Masada was only a code name for the Grail's base of operations and was located in France, as you said. Not to be confused with the original Masada overlooking the western shore of the Dead Sea in southeastern Israel.
Have you seen pictures of that Masada?
Yes.
That's badass.
I'd like to live there.
We're going to talk.
Make it
we're
my
going to talk
house.
about it.
After the fall of Jerusalem in 70 CE, Emperor Titus returned to Rome and received a triumphant welcome for his success in defeating the first Jewish revolt. At the same time, the Romans began to restore order in Judea by putting down any final resistance and regaining control of the last few strongholds held by the Zealots. The last and longest of these final encounters was the siege of Masada, which occurred in 73 or 74 CE.
The Zealots sound like a fucking alien race.
I think I might have said that wrong. I'm pretty sure it might be Zealots.
You'd right away. So you put a Z in front of anything and it sounds like an alien race.
Yeah. Only a small number of Zealots escaped the massacre of men, women, and children in Jerusalem in 70 CE. Some went to the fortress of Herodium and Marcharius, two mountain fortresses. Others escaped and settled in the apparently impregnable mountaintop fortress of Masada, overcoming a small Roman garrison there. The Romans, commanded by Lucius Flavius Silva, led siege to Masada, building a 2.5 mile long circumvallation wall of dried fieldstones around the mountain, which rises 1,325 feet above the desert floor and looks out over the Dead Sea.
How many Joshes is that?
Oh, what do we say you are?
6'1".
6, 12, 18, 24, 30, 36. So 60 something Joshes.
Okay.
About 65 Joshes, I think.
66. We'll go with 66. 66 Dr. Smokenstein's one on top of the other.
Nice. Yay.
That blunt rotation's easy. We should just go like that.
Christmas. A blockade would have been lengthy, however, because the defenders, led by Eliezer ben Yair, had plentiful food and water supplies. So the Romans also set about building a massive earth ramp on the western side of the fortress. Built under constant fire from the defenders, the ramp was 1,968 feet long and rose 200 feet to the fortress's walls.
Add another couple of Joshes in there.
Exactly. The Romans then, well, that would be 100 Joshes, wouldn't it? No, that's more than 100 Joshes. If you were, I can't remember.
This is how we measure things in this house.
What did we say you were? 4 kitchen floor tiles.
6 kitchen floor tiles.
Oh, okay. Yes, you're about 6 foot.
Yeah, so the tiles must be a foot long. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, about that. The Romans then pushed a siege tower up the ramp, equipped with a ram and raining stone balustrade and iron bolts on the defenders. This soon battered a breach in the wall. When the Romans entered the fortress, however, they discovered that most of its 960 inhabitants had committed mass suicide, preferring death at their own hands to slavery or execution.
It wasn't much of a fucking fortress that if they got in, you all had to kill yourself inside there.
That's true.
Who was leading the fucking Israelis? Jim Jones?
Well, I suppose they wouldn't have had the same military power that the military technology that the Romans had.
But this does sound like my my ideal home. Obviously, you'd need like an elevator to get up there. But I do think having the fortress on the top and being able to chill out on the roof and look out over everything, over the Dead Sea and all that'd be awesome.
Go float for a while along the Dead Sea.
Look, the Israeli and Palestinians are at it again. Yeah, we might want to move our mountain.
Yeah, I was just about to say you're in Israel, aren't you? Jerusalem is
let's
Israel.
Move our mountain. We're going to go somewhere else. They got one in France that's for sale. Needs a bit of fixing up, though.
Fixer-upper.
So I can see why the Grail would take some influence from it, though.
Yeah.
So makes their base sound impregnable and gives the impression that they are not willing, or that they are willing to go to extremes to protect themselves and their Messiah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they're like basically saying, well, if you look at history, it's going to be hard to get in here. And if you do, we'll all be dead already.
Yeah. And that was
so
the
you
idea.
get no satisfaction.
Yeah. So that was the idea. And as Starr had his plan in place, and it wasn't long until he got word that Custer was on his way to Grail headquarters. But unbeknownst to him, so was the All-Father, who was coming to sort out his Messiah problem and Starr's betrayal all in one go. Oh, and he had the Messiah along with him.
Humperdoo. That's
Humperdoo.
what Starr called him. Mainly because he made that sound a lot. Apparently when he walked out, that was the most clear thing he could say. You know, a lot of it was Humperdoo, Humperdoo, Humperdoo. But he wouldn't be caught dead calling that in front of the All-Father.
Oh, you couldn't call him. You just call him the Messiah.
The Christ child or the Messiah?
Christ child.
The Holy Christ child. Or the Holy Messiah. They always stuck holy in front of him.
Oh, just to be sure.
Oh, yeah. So, Jessie does eventually get to Masada to save custody, according to Grail sources.
Okay.
And it didn't put up much of a fight going in.
Okay.
No, they claim that he used this word of command that he had the whole way in and walked his way right into this impregnable fortress. But Starr was also telling him to let him on in because he knew he wanted to deal with him.
Yeah.
But he was trying to get to him before he got to the All-Father. Well, it was too late. Jessie just strolled on into the All-Father's room too. He was like, fuck this. Get on my way. Stop. Anytime we come there, stop, drop your guns, fuck off. And he'd do it.
Please don't fuck off.
So, do you reckon he actually had the word, or he was just one of these guys who was so charming and striking and dominant and he just had to do as he said?
What?
Like,
So people
move.
with guns, and he was like, move.
Yes,
and they're
sir.
like, oh, you're so charming. Of course I will.
Yes, sir. Well, again, we talked about
my
Diddy
P.
earlier
Diddy.
on being charming and people were doing a lot of shit he was asking that they didn't want to do.
But did Jesse have P. Diddy's money and influence?
I don't know.
Did he offer people record deals?
No.
See.
No. He did get one kid a record deal. And that kid shot himself in the face beforehand. So it was nice for him to go on up.
Oh.
But apparently the reconstruction was terrible. So bad that it looked like he had an ass in his face.
And going around talking about that.
Like a puckered up arse on his lips. And he talked like this a lot. So I don't know how he sang much. He managed it. Anyway, where were we? I'm going to do the rest of the show like this. As if I have an arse on my face.
Oh.
Where are we?
So before Daranique's plan could be brought to fruition, Masada was infiltrated by a lone cowboy with 2 guns and a sword. No match for an army of religious nuts, right?
Wrong. Oh, we didn't actually specify what his plan was. When Jessie went to talk to the All-Father, before we get back to the old Santa killers, when Jessie went to talk to the All-Father, they kind of discussed the whole familial fucking connection. And Daranique was saying that he has, revenge is revenge, eye for an eye, you took my aunt, I'm going to take you. But he also knew of Starr's betrayal, and he wasn't letting that card go yet. He didn't really tell him he knew yet, but he was like, do you know what, Starr, you're the sacred executioner. You fight him one-on-one. Okay. The winner can live. Nice. But Starr knew that wasn't going to happen. Starr knew there was no way anyone was coming out of this alive. But if Darren knew he had betrayed him, win or lose, he was going to die.
Okay.
And same with Jesse. He was like, Jesse could kill me, but he's just going to kill him afterwards anyway. It doesn't make a difference.
Yeah.
So back to the Saint.
The distraction by the Saint, who had apparently been sent to kill Custer and retrieve Genesis by the angels of heaven left in charge in God's absence, was enough of a distraction to allow Starr and Custer to escape. The unstoppable killer was looking for Custer and started mowing down Grail soldiers without hesitation. They were useless against the Saint and tried to fall back, but Darren wouldn't have it. He would sacrifice any number of men to have Starr and Custer brought back to him.
Starr, realising the game was up, decided to go the way of the original Masada. Not suicide. I suppose it's more mass murder than mass suicide. He kind of saw this coming, was expecting this to come, and he knew he needed a plan B just in case Darren showed up and knew what was going on. And he had the whole of Masada rigged to blow. Kind of a self-destruct kind of thing so that he could get out and continue with his plan. And he'd escape and kill everyone else in the process, leaving no witnesses to dispute his claims of what happened at Masada.
Yeah. And eventually it became obvious that there was no stopping the Saint and that Starr had rigged the base to explode. The All-Father boarded a helicopter, but in the panic, with the little disciples left, had to be put in on his side and rolled into the chopper. He was then forced to wait as the soldiers went to retrieve the Christ child for evacuation.
So not the chopper though, a plane. I fucked up on that. I wrote this bit, and it wasn't a chopper. It was a small plane. Small plane, but it was on a helipad. So in the meantime, Starr had made his way to that helipad and hijacked the All-Father's ride. Waiting for the perfect time, Starr had the unsuspecting pilot take off. Then, when he saw the Christ child approach, tipped the plane to the side, dropping the All-Father out of the open door and about 100 feet to the ground, where he met Humperdoo right on top of his head, killing both him and his Messiah. So basically, like I said, he liked to sit in people. This was like going from a height to sit in the Messiah.
Okay.
Except both of them just went splat. Yeah, good times.
And with that, Masada blew up, taking the most of the Grail with it. But it wasn't the end of Starr, his plans for the apocalypse, or his desire for revenge against Custer, who left him mutilated and scarred and in charge of a much smaller army in the Grail.
Do you want to know what kind of scars he had?
Every type of scar?
Well, not just yet. At this point, he had the scars we talked about, the eye, and he was missing his hair. I think at this point he had his ear shot off.
Ooh.
So the ear was shot off, and Jesse, in anger, took a knife and sliced a big old line right down the middle of his bald head.
So not unlike Sabu. Not Sabu. Sabu had the marks in his head, no?
Sabu had long hair all his career.
No, so who am I thinking of with he kind of reminded me of Sabu. He had like the lines going back in his head. We saw him on
Abdul the Butcher.
Abdul the Butcher, that's what I was thinking of. Yes, yeah, he was
so
on.
If you look closely at any wrestler's head from the 80s,
they have them.
Their forehead is just
But I mean,
riddled.
his were really pronounced at the top of his head.
Well, I think that's just, bald guys as well. We get that. You get the wrinkles in your head and stuff like that.
I don't know. These look like proper. I don't know. That's just what I
Well, no,
thought.
this was more like a penis. The top of a penis, which Starr wasn't overly happy about.
So he
And
looked like a
apparently, to, rub some dirt in the wound, Jesse used his magical powers to tell Starr that he couldn't wear a hat or a wig.
Oh,
ever.
no.
So he had to go around looking like a big old cock for the rest of his life.
Nice.
Yup. So what do we have next? I'm loving this. What do we got?
So next week we will finish out
Next week. Oh,
sorry. We will finish out our story with Starr's plan for revenge, Jesse's quest to question God, and the apocalypse 2.0.
To be fair, I'm a bald man. If someone put a scar of a line in the middle of my head to make me look like a giant penis, I'd want some fucking revenge for that too.
Oh, I know you would, but you can wear a hat.
It's true.
That is true.
And wigs.
And wigs.
Get me a nice
Nobody's
old
stopping
wig.
you wearing a wig.
What type of wig should I get?
Mullet.
Oh, but do it like you girls do it and have like a bunch of different ones. So one day it look like I have short hair, next day it look like I have really long hair. And
Nikki Sixx, circa 1980. Nice.
No. Anyway, so that's next week.
Yes, and until then, check out our Patreon for more great shows like the IAA bonus show, It's a Live Action, or our wrestling history show, Wrestling with Time.
We also have your history show, which is
Mm-hmm.
coming back Tuesday.
Yes.
It's Playing with Bones, and we have your Mini Monster bios, which I always fucking love. I can't remember what we did this week. What did we do on Mini Monsters this week? I know we got Jeff the Talking Mongoose coming up again in a couple of weeks.
We do. I can't remember what we did this week.
Yeah,
This
you
week
can't
we
think of it.
did.
Anyway, you can go check it out yourself
Yes.
and find out what it is, because they're free. They're free to the public on Patreon. You can only see them on Patreon, but you don't need an account to do it. So just
Skunk
come
Ape.
over and have a look. Cool, a skunk ape. Go smell that fucker today on Patreon. We also have exclusive pics, videos, news, reviews. All that's on patreon.com at the Horrorverse Network, and it's only $5 a month with a 7-day free trial for all new subscribers. We'll be back next week with more tales from the Horrorverse. See you all next time. Same live time, same Horrorverse channel. Okay, love ya. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.